Hello, my name is Lindy Cowling and welcome to my channel. My website is www.lindycowling.co.uk and my email is info@lindycowling.co.uk. I must apologise for my much deeper than normal husky, sexy sounding voice. I've been battling with the man-made, genetically modified virus that is sweeping across Britain at the moment, which basically, once you've got it, it's quite hard to shake off. It's quite hard to get rid of. Just as when you think you've just recovered from it, comes back. So I'm rather croaky at the moment. My voice has dropped a lot lower than what it would normally drop. So you may think, why are you coming onto camera, Lindy, if you're not feeling very well? I don't feel too bad. I'm so fired up and inspired to just share stuff at the moment that I'm just riding the crest of a wave here. I won't always be able to get on camera, I'm sure, as often as I am now, especially in the light, you know, of going to have a very busy time in the next several weeks, you know, relocating to a different area of the country and things. So I'm just riding the crest of a wave and doing this now, why I can get onto camera and why I'm inspired to do so. So again, I apologise for my husky voice. I hope you can still hear me and understand me. It doesn't hurt, it's just it's affecting my voice box, this virus. So the title of the short video is going to be Subtle Differences Between Twin Flames and Ascensionary Soulmates, or Twin Flames and Ascensionary Soulmates, Subtle Differences. The same thing really, just a subtle difference. Oh, that's quite clever, wasn't it? Right. I'm talking about this today because this has come up in the course of my work during the last 2 weeks. Best place to start. I coined the expression and coined the word Ascensionary Soulmates several months ago, some months ago now, to describe the soul connections that are coming together in a more harmonious fashion without all the hallmarks and signs of a conventional twin flame union. So what do I mean? Okay, for me, I hear the sounds of the soul. The soul makes a sound, the universe makes a sound, energy makes sounds, everything is based on harmonics and sounds. Over the last 14 to 15 months, as a result of my own spiritual evolution, I can hear clairaudiently, but also kinesthetically, which means feel the sound of the soul. So I hear the sound beyond the level of the human hearing, just like a clairvoyant hears the information, not necessarily someone chatting in their ear, like voices in their ear, although I think some can that way. It's never been that way for me. I hear beyond the level of the ear, and then it translates as information, or for me, the sound of the soul translates as a feeling. I know what that feeling is based on my own personal experience of being in the twin flame frequency, also on my personal experience of being in catalyst connections, dark catalysts and light, also based on my experience of being connected with soul family. Also, based on my experience of now working with hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people worldwide that are in soulmate connections or catalyst connections, or a small proportion in the twin flame union, or soul connections that are being birthed in this new energy. Excuse my watery eyes, I was just about to sneeze. If my eyes look like I'm about to cry, it's not. It's because I've got this virus thing, coldy thing. So I hear it, and it translates to a feeling, and it's a definite feeling. Now, this has served me time and time again. The first thing I ever say to anyone on a reading is I will do the utmost that I can. I use the utmost integrity, very honest, very truthful, very loving, and my role is to help my clients or the people I'm working with to the best of my ability. That's what being in service is. But nobody is infallible. No one is infallible, no matter what role of work they're in. And that's the first thing I say. I'm going to do the best I can with this and read this as accurately as I can. But you do gain an element of confidence when you have had multiple soul and spirit experiences, and when you have been working at the vast end of the spectrum of these experiences. But like I say, nobody's infallible. I spoke on camera several months ago, and I'm sure I called it Ascensionary Soulmates after the twin flame union. I called it that simply because there is a fervour, a demand really by the public, by people, to give a name to what they're experiencing. And unfortunately, the latest buzzword is twin flames. So every kind of spiritual awakening that involves another person on this planet at the moment is getting slam dunked with the name twin flame on it. Now, that's a double-edged sword, because in some ways, at least it leads people back to trying to find out about love and divine love, and so that can be a good thing. And I brought one out about a year ago called Twin Flames, the Divine Obsession, talking about this kind of thing then. And so it's not a bad thing, but there's just so much confusion. Well, you could say to me, Lindy, does it really matter if people are slapping twin flame on soulmates, twin flame on someone they meet that's a boyfriend or girlfriend? Does it really matter if they call it twin flames or not twin flames? I guess it doesn't, except to say that there is a proportion of people here in the twin flame union that have laid down this template and that are working in service to others. And I don't really feel it dishonours or discredits them, but they are who they are, and they exist. And I think it does add to confusion, because there are so many mixed messages out there about the twin flame union. All I can tell you is from my perspective. All anybody talking on a twin flame union can do is tell you from their perspective of what they have experienced, what they've gone through. Some of them are not twin flames and believe they are. Some are most definitely twin flames but don't realize they are. You know, there's a whole different mix in there. The point I'm making is people can only come from the frequency they're at, the experience they've had, and, you know, come from there. Like everybody, you know, you can only come from that. This is not something that can be speculated about. It is something that has to be experienced. So from my perspective, having experienced all elements of that dynamic, bar one, I have not moved forward with an ascensionary soulmate. That's the only element I haven't experienced. Having experienced the other elements of it, and already being clairvoyant, clairaudient, a medium, although the mediumship does not come into my work on the twin flame union, let me make that categorically clear. I do not speak to the departed, people that have passed over, ever in order to validate the twin flame union. Mediumship is a different frequency, which is why most mediums do not pick up on the twin flame union. It's a different frequency. The closest anyone ever came with me is a working clairvoyant medium, Julie Cook. Hello Julie, if you're watching this. This was long before it was public knowledge that I was in a spiritual connection. Long before that, it was all very quiet because I was married and he was married. We were sitting in the same room, a large room with many members of the public, and we weren't sitting together. And the reader, Julie, was the only one over all those years that she pointed straight to me and launched straight in and started talking about an amazing love. She said this was an amazing love, like off the charts, and she saw it as an androgynous energy. She said, I can see an androgynous energy, it's beautiful. It's all of the soul. And then she went into great detail. She went into great detail for about 5 minutes with me in front of a room full of people. The next person she picked on over the other side of the room was him. And then she went into great detail with him about, you've just met the love of your life. This is extraordinary. This is a real soul connection. And then she pointed to me and she said, it's just like that lady over there. And we had to keep a straight face and say nothing, but we're lit up like a Christmas tree. That's the only person in all the years that ever came close to it. Others identified huge aspects of it. Other mediums, other clairvoyants, other psychics identified aspects of it. And let me make this quite clear again. I have the utmost respect for psychics. I'm psychic. I have the utmost respect for mediums. I am a medium. I come from a long line of mediums. I have the utmost respect for clairvoyance. I am clairvoyant. I'm not knocking that. I'm just saying that up to now there's been great confusion and it hasn't been reliable to rely on a medium or clairvoyant for that information, because if they haven't experienced it, they have to use the language and the clues and the definition they've got. Now, because it's becoming more common and twin flames are being talked about, now you'll probably get every, I was going to say it was a London expression, every Tom, Dick and Harry. That means everybody, psychics, mediums, clairvoyants, all saying, oh, I think I've met your twin flame, or you've probably met your twin flame, because it's the buzzword of the time and the buzz energy, and it's suddenly become fashionable. I've deviated a bit, but the point I'm trying to make here is, had I not experienced what I experienced, I wouldn't have a leg to stand on here. I wouldn't be able to identify that energy in the same way. Let me clarify again. If I'm doing an intuitive guidance for you on soul and spiritual connections, I am not using mediumship. I'm not calling on your departed mother or father or brother or sister. I'm working on a different radio station. I said this in another video. I'm working on a different frequency to that. If I'm doing mediumship, I'm tuning it to a different frequency. My clairvoyance comes in a little bit with the intuitive guidance, with the soul and spiritual stuff, but not mediumship. It's different. And not psychically, really, it's slightly different. It's different. It's a different level. It's a whole different ball game. So I've deviated a lot, but I need to get this across. So for me, I hear the sounds of the soul. This gives me a clear indication. Now, in a way, I've almost been tested on this week, because I've had a wonderful connections with people this week, some amazing people that are all different levels of connection, and there are a real old mix in there. There's been Ascensionary soulmates in there. There's been what I call the old paradigm, old school soulmates in there. There's been legitimate twin flame union in there. There's been dark catalyst in there. This has all been within 1 week, and all make a slightly different sound. Even one mix, genuine twin flame union, where one is going forward in the mission and one is not. Another one where one has a disruptor energy over the connection, one does not have a disruptor energy over the connection. Had I not gone through those experiences, I would not be able to spot them. I wouldn't be able to spot them, because I couldn't hear them, because they are subtle differences. I describe it today as someone as the twin flames are on midnight, and 1 second past midnight is Ascensionary soulmates, a subtle difference. These are the main differences I see. Virtually zero metaphysical symptoms in the Ascensionary soulmates. Now, when I say zero, yes, the standard textbook telepathy, yes, a heart connection, but loads of people are having heart connections now, so there's that. Some kind of recognition, that's about it. Not shape-shifting, morphing, merging, blending, paranormal, metaphysical stuff going off, lights, phenomena, you name it, huge things like that. That's number one. The metaphysical symptoms are much less, or they're non-existent. Number two, Ascensionary soulmates, and this is my word for them. Somebody else might say, someone else might actually say, oh, that's the twin, sorry, I'm fiddling with my hair as well now, that's the twin flame union, they're twin flames. Because it's, again, twin flames midnight, Ascensionary soulmates 1 second past midnight, a subtle difference. The dead giveaway, apart from the sound and the feeling of it, the metaphysical symptoms either much less or absent entirely, but they are not mission formatted. They are not mission templated. That's not there. What they are templated with is relationship templated, bringing children into the world templated, being under the same roof templated. If you ask me what their mission was, in a way, their mission to be here, having children together, modeling the new relationship, modeling what twin flames came in to lay the template down. The twin flame template was here for others to imprint on, if you like, to take on board, so that they could have living, working, spiritual soul relationships in a relationship format. This is why you don't see very many twin flames. I mean, obviously some aren't in the public eye, but you don't see many in the public eye in a conventional scenario. And the ones that you do, that you suppose straight away they're in a relationship, actually they are working their socks off in a mission of service for humanity. So it isn't a conventional relationship, it's a divine partnership, modeling the emergence of a new relationship format. Now you can hear by my voice, I hope I'm not coming across as grumpy and lecturing, but I'm trying to explain it because I've explained it a few times, and there's so much confusion out there, and sometimes it gets a little bit wearing and a little bit tiring trying to clarify, and I know there's confusion. I think you've got to ask yourself at the end of the day why it's so important to you to stick a label on it. I mean, we are seeing some phenomenal changes just in the last week. That's why I'm bringing up the videos I'm bringing out now. A new blueprint, a 12D blueprint, has just actually embedded. It's here now. It's a working blueprint that started. What I see with Ascensionary Soulmates is they all seem to have launched in each other's lives round about the same period of time. And they've come through what we call the ascension wave of energy. They came through that intact. Many of us didn't, but they did. And then they have the opportunity to come into a much more harmonious state. This, again, singles them out from the twin flame union. Up to this date in time, twin flames have not had a harmonious experience here. They have not. Many of them have gone down, fallen at the fence, or they're separate and they're going through their process. They are doing the mission away from each other. They are clearing the bloodlines. They are putting out that frequency. They are laying down that template. Yes, some come together in some kind of format, a working format. Yes. But it's still a very small minority, and they have had to really battle their way to that point. They haven't instantly been all bliss and harmony. I'm not saying that that's not going to happen, and I'm not saying that it hasn't happened somewhere and it's just they're just not on camera, but it's rare, extremely rare. They've normally all got a tale of horror to tell, of how they had to crawl through the trenches on hands and knees to get to the point that they've got to now. That's those of them that are even under the same roof or working together, which comes into about 5% probably. That sounds all doom and gloom. It's not all doom and gloom. I'm just spelling it out as to how it is, what has been happening, what is still happening, but things are changing. They're changing for the genuine twin flames that are here. But more than that, because remember, the genuine ones that are here as an act of service. They are mission orientated, service to humanity. But it's changing for those that have imprinted or come in on top of that template. I'm just giving them the name Ascensionary Soulmates because I've got to call them something, because otherwise people, I'm not going to keep calling them. I could say, well, it's a new wave of twin flames. It's not really accurate, because they're not doing the same thing that twin flames did. They're not here to do a humanitarian act of service in that sense, although they are, by their living embodiment of a relationship format, a higher level of relationship format, they are doing that, and they are profoundly connected in soul, but minus the things I spoke about. So there's subtle differences. If you weren't working that energy, if you hadn't lived the dynamics of that energy, you would not spot this, you wouldn't see it, and you wouldn't feel it. And so you will lump it all under the same umbrella. And like I say, it does, another thing I'm going to have to say, it sounds like I'm having a bit of a moan here, and perhaps I am. I love the people I work with, and I'm so honoured. This week I have met some phenomenal people and dealt with some phenomenal people all over the world. Amazing people. It's been a privilege to work with them. I hope to meet a few of them in the future, and there, you know, great things maybe to come. Some amazing people out there. But what I'm going to say, really again, is that there has to be some clarification on this. There has to be some clarification on why people feel it's so important to get a label on these connections. And what a lot of people tend to do, instead of, God, I mean, I understand why people need clarification because they get confused, but what they do, and I mean, I've noticed this a lot lately, personally, I always have to stand by my own knowing on something. I can't budge on that. I have to stand by it. I can't alter it to make it fit somebody's idea of what it should fit. What I have noticed lately, and this has been increasing lately, is people connecting with me that have already been to multiple others that talk about the twin flame union. Instead of validating things for them, because sometimes we validate one another, sometimes that confuses them even more, because they've been to 2 or 3 other people. And it's really interesting, and then you'll hear them say at the end of it, when you've done your utmost to read it the way you're reading it and to help them, and then they'll say, but oh well, I went to so-and-so, so-and-so, and they said so-and-so, so-and-so. You know, it just, that again, it just muddies the water really. At the end of the day, whether you're involved in the genuine twin flame union, whether you're involved with a catalyst, whether you're involved with a soulmate of some description, or whether you've come into this new energy in a soulmate connection, what I call ascensionary soulmates, the overlaps and the similarities in the journey is that you are going to have to come to a stage of acceptance of the process that's taking place, coming to a stage of trust in the process, letting go of the control of the process, trusting the wisdom, higher self, if you want to call it the oversoul, if you want to call it spirit. You're going to have to let that drive the connections and not try and force them yourselves. And don't forget, we've all been there, we've all experienced doing that. And it's a case of coming into that self-care, that self-wellness, that self-worth, that love of self, and doing the work on yourselves. These are all have that in common. Even at the points where you can't get clarity on it, you know, and you're confused and you're not sure what it is, what you can be damn sure of is if you've experienced some of the things I've just reeled off here, then you are dealing with a connection that's to do with the soul and spirit, or you're dealing with a huge heart awakening catalyst. Yes, the heart's involved in all of these connections as well, just to confuse matters. But it is a spiritual awakening. All of them are a spiritual awakening. They're all under that umbrella, although for different purposes. Some relationship templated, some mission, humanitarian service templated. But they all have in common that you have to get to a place of non-codependency, not needing the other party, not obsessing over the other party, not clinging to the other party, learning to stand on your own 2 feet, learning to evolve, learning to grow, learning to love yourself, allowing your vibration to raise. Please don't think I'm judging anybody, because I've been through all of that scenario. I know how difficult it is, all of it that I just listed. That's why I'm very adamant on, if you are struggling at any element of a connection, please do get help, get healing. I've personally found shamanic work outstanding for helping in these kind of connections. Personally, out of everything else, I found that outstanding, and I just spoke to someone today who's found the same. If you're stuck in a mental body, don't always approach it from the spiritual and soul side. Yeah, do that, but have a 2 or 3 pronged attack on this. get cognitive behavioral therapy or get counseling. Help the mental side of the human experience as well as the spiritual. If I went wrong anywhere in the early days, it's because I went, it's my saying, I went angelic on it all the time, and I forgot I was a human being, and I paid a huge price for that, with a vast amount of suffering and a vast amount of help that needed doing afterwards because of my background and my templating. That hit me phenomenally hard. I see it hitting many others phenomenally hard. So do get the appropriate assistance. You won't find the appropriate assistance all in one arena. It has to be a mixture. It has to be balanced. It has to be spiritual, but also more practical as well to help you over that period of time. So on that note, this is a long video. Clearly I had lots to say. I hope I haven't come across too ranty and ravey. You know, I love you guys. I really do, and I love what I do, and I hate seeing people messed up. I know sometimes it's part of the process, but I hate seeing people in the muddle, and I like to try and help people disentangle from that. I'm a healer through and through. Most genuine twin flames are healers through and through, and I'm a healer through and through. I am just trying to help. If you are someone that chooses to come to me for soul guidance, not talking about my other kinds of readings, talking to people that have passed over or clairvoyance, if you're trying to just get some help on some kind of soul side of it, what you will get is someone that is a healer, that is attempting to help you move forward and disentangle yourself so that you come into your power, so you have clarity, so you get some assistance, and so you can move it forward. And that I will do to the best of my ability. I have always in my work, if I feel that something was out of my depth, I am the sort of person that then refers you to someone else or says, you know what, you should talk to so-and-so. They are really experienced in this, you know. I recommend other people's works throughout on my videos. I've always done that because I'm not in competition with anyone. My humanitarian goal and purpose is, or my act of service is to help people. So I don't care if I can't be the one to do that, or they need a multi-pronged help. I'm going to say they need multi-pronged help and try and help them with get that for them. Do you see what I mean? That's what being in service is. Anyway, I hope I clarified that. If you are in the, it's my name, Ascensionary Soulmates, I have to call it something. If you're in this new wave of profound soul connections that are in the new energy, that are relationship templated, you want to bring out the flags really and celebrate. It's a damn sight easier than the old twin flame union went through and put down. This was what it was put down for, guys like you. It's a much more harmonious scenario because the baggage and the clearing isn't brought into that scenario. Most of it is done by then. It's slightly different ball game, not much difference. Don't get in the obsession that that means it's less than a twin flame. It's different to a twin flame. A twin flame is midnight. It's only 1 second difference. On that note, I'm going to go before I get ranty and ravey. I love you. Thank you for watching my work. Thank you for coming to me as clients. And I will love you and leave you till we meet again. Take care, guys. Bye-bye.